The standard explanation for Kodak's collapse is that it was slow, complacent, and outcompeted by sharper rivals who saw digital photography coming. That version is comforting because it draws a clean line between a failed company and you. The behavioral record draws no such line. Kodak was not blind to the future. In 1975, a Kodak engineer built the world's first digital camera inside Kodak's own labs. They saw it first, they owned the patent, and they chose not to act on it. Stephen Sassen's prototype recorded a black and white image onto cassette tape in 1975, and Kodak held the patents on the technology that would define the next 40 years of imaging. By 2012, the company that invented the digital camera had filed for bankruptcy. Complacency does not explain why people who held the answer in their hands actively decided not to use it. So what was happening inside those minds? 1. Identity protective cognition. Researcher Dan Kahan documented that when a fact threatens a person's core sense of who they are, the brain does not weigh it neutrally. It processes the fact as a threat to the self and discounts it. Kodak's institutional identity was unambiguous. We are a film and chemicals company. A camera with no film was not merely a product they disliked. It was information incompatible with their self-concept. So the organization did what individual brains do. It registered the prototype as interesting, filed it away, and quietly downgraded its significance. The filter exists because a stable identity lets us act decisively in an uncertain world. That same filter runs whenever a fact about your future feels easier to ignore than to absorb. That filtering set up the second mechanism, loss aversion. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky demonstrated that the brain weighs a potential loss roughly twice as heavily as an equivalent gain, and Richard Thaler showed we overvalue what we already possess. For Kodak, film was a guaranteed, enormously profitable present. Digital was an uncertain future that required destroying that present with their own hands. To a brain calibrated this way, refusing to cannibalize a profitable identity is not stupidity. It is the predictable output of a system built to protect what already exists. Acting meant accepting a certain immediate loss to chase an abstract gain, and the brain is engineered to refuse that trade. It is the same reason you delay the decision that would cost you something now. Refusing the trade created a contradiction, and that produced the third mechanism, cognitive dissonance reduction. Leon Festinger showed that when behavior and belief conflict, the brain rarely changes the behavior. It edits the belief until the conflict disappears. Kodak owned the future and was not using it, an intolerable internal inconsistency. So the belief adjusted. Digital was reframed as a niche, the image quality is inadequate, the market is distant, the threat as decades away. Each reframing was sincere and felt like sober analysis. This mechanism exists to keep a functioning mind from being paralyzed by its own contradictions. It is also why, once you decide not to act on something, you become remarkably good at generating reasons the inaction was wise. This is not a story about one badly run company. It is a demonstration that the same three processes, an identity that filters threatening facts, a brain that overweights present loss, and a mind that rewrites belief to justify inaction, are running in you right now. In the career you describe as who you are. In the business you keep meaning to start. In the skill you are watching get automated while you reassure yourself there is still time. Given Kodak's identity, Kodak's incentives, and Kodak's certainty about itself, your brain would have buried that camera too. Not because you resemble them, because they were already exactly like you. Every institutional catastrophe is built from ordinary psychological processes running normally inside ordinary minds, under conditions that made inaction feel like wisdom. Understanding those processes does not make you immune to them. It changes the speed at which you recognize them. If that is the kind of understanding you are looking for, subscribe, because the mechanisms are still running.